Did you know? Each time you masturbate after turning 60, you're not just releasing tension. Your prostate also goes through 6 silent but important changes. An 18-year study published in JAMA in 2016, led by Harvard Medical School, followed 31,925 men. It found that ejaculating 21 times or more per month can lower your risk of prostate cancer by up to 23%. But if you do it too late, too often, or when you're tired, stressed, it might lead to prostate inflammation, nighttime urination, lower abdominal pain, and even impact your testosterone levels. In this video, I'll walk you through 6 silent changes that happen every time you ejaculate, changes in your biology, hormones, and nervous system that your body after 60 must adapt to. Some of these changes may surprise you. They help prevent disease in a natural way, but others might make you wish you had known sooner. I still remember James. He was 74 with silver hair and a deep voice. He'd worked over 40 years in construction. He came to my office one day, quietly said, "Doctor, I don't feel relieved anymore after masturbating. I feel tired, heavy down here. I wake up to pee again and again at night, and I feel weaker." I checked. His prostate had enlarged by nearly 50%. There were signs of mild inflammation, and his testosterone had dropped to unusually low levels. Before he left, he gently held my hand and said, "I wish someone told me this 10 years ago." Of course, everybody reacts differently. If you're on blood pressure meds, hormonal therapy, or managing diabetes, talk to your doctor before changing your sexual habits, especially how often you ejaculate. This isn't medical advice. It's knowledge to help you better understand your own body. If you're in your 60s or have a father, a brother, someone you love at this stage of life, stay with me until the end of this video. Because once you understand your body, you can live healthier and freer every single day. And if what I'm sharing feels helpful, please consider subscribing to this channel so we can keep walking this journey together, where medical knowledge isn't just numbers, but real stories from real lives. Now, let's begin with the very first change. It's one most people overlook, yet this one small habit, done regularly and correctly, may protect your prostate from cancer. Naturally, without drugs. Have you ever wondered why you sometimes feel tired after releasing, why you sleep deeper, or maybe feel a bit empty inside? That's not just a feeling. That's your male hormones reacting and shifting. Every time you masturbate after 60, back in your 30s, testosterone flowed like a strong, steady river, fast, resilient, always bouncing back. But after 60, that river slows down. It gets shallower, easier to drain. When you ejaculate, your testosterone drops slightly for 6 to 24 hours. In younger men, the body recovers quickly, but in older men, it takes longer. There's also DHT, a stronger form of testosterone, closely linked to the prostate. If you abstain too long or ejaculate too often, this hormone can become unbalanced. When you're younger, you could release often and still feel great, but after 60, just once or twice a week is often enough to stay in balance, too frequent. And you might feel tired, unmotivated, weaker, even sleepless, too infrequent. And DHT can build up, leading to prostate enlargement, trouble urinating, or pelvic discomfort. I remember Mr. Frank, 68 years old, a former fitness coach. He came in with a serious look on his face and said, "Doctor, lately I feel drained. My mind's foggy. I eat well, I sleep well, but something's off." We ran hormone tests. His testosterone was unusually low, even though he looked fit and healthy. Digging deeper, I found out he had a habit of masturbating every night to help him fall asleep. But that routine was disrupting his body's natural rhythm and not giving his testosterone time to recover. Once Frank reduced it to twice a week, added morning breathing exercises, ate more zinc-rich foods. Within 4 weeks, his energy came back. Ejaculation isn't bad, But after 60, it's no longer just about instinct. It's something you need to understand and do right. If you felt sluggish, forgetful, or weaker after releasing, it might be a hormonal imbalance you haven't noticed. Think of every ejaculation as a hormonal switch, one that affects your energy, your mood, and your prostate health. Less isn't always better, more isn't always stronger. What matters is timing, state of mind, and true need. If you've ever felt that post-release fatigue, or noticed that your hormones aren't what they used to be, type "I understand" in the comments. You never know, your story might help someone else start listening to their body too. And coming up next, I'll share one of the most surprising yet powerful benefits of releasing the right way. A silent shift that could lower your risk of prostate cancer without medication or surgery. You'll want to pay close attention to what's next. There's something most men are never taught as adults. That regular ejaculation, done the right way at the right time, can actually help prevent disease, not just serve a physical urge. And when it comes to your prostate, this could mean the difference between wellness and something far more serious. The prostate is where semen is produced, and over time, if it's not emptied regularly, it can collect inflammatory substances, excess hormones, and metabolic toxins. In a major 2016 study published in JAMA, Harvard Medical School followed more than 31,925 men for 18 years. They're finding men who ejaculated 21 times or more per month had a 23% lower risk of developing prostate cancer compared to those who did it only 4 to 7 times per month. Why? Because each ejaculation works like a natural cleanse, flushing out buildup that could otherwise damage cells or trigger dangerous mutations if left unchecked. I remember James, 74 years old, came in with a worried look. "I'm fine, doc." But my younger brother, he was just diagnosed with late-stage prostate cancer. He's only 68. I asked about his lifestyle, and he answered honestly, "My wife passed away early. I haven't had intimacy in over 12 years. I thought abstaining was healthy. But that long-term abstinence meant his prostate was never being cleared. His PSA levels were starting to creep up, a subtle warning sign. We made some changes. He began releasing regularly, exercising more, eating cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and kale, and increasing his vitamin D. 6 months later, his PSA stabilized. He felt lighter, and his mood improved. Now, ejaculation won't cure cancer, but for men over 60, it can become one part of a proactive strategy to protect your prostate naturally. Of course, frequency depends on your health, medications, and energy levels, so don't force it. But don't forget it either. Balance is the key. Sometimes we forget. Our bodies need regular maintenance, not just for pleasure, but for cleansing, healing, and renewal. And the prostate, though often overlooked, is one place where this matters most. Care for it the right way, and it will quietly protect you, day after day. If you used to think that the less, the better, but now you see things differently, drop the word "awakened" in the comments below. Who knows? Your insight might be the wake-up call another man has been waiting for. But if you think regular release is all it takes, you may be missing one of the most overlooked and worrisome changes. A silent buildup that could have you waking up at 2 a.m., not from insomnia, but from the urgent need to pee. Keep listening, because what's coming next may be something no one has ever explained to you, clearly and honestly. If you've ever woken up in the middle of the night to urinate, then again the next night, and eventually, it becomes every night. Don't just assume it's normal aging. It could be a warning sign that your prostate is slowly becoming congested. Think of the prostate as a small storage chamber for semen. If it isn't regularly emptied, fluid can build up and put pressure on the gland, especially in men who no longer have regular sexual activity. This pressure doesn't just cause heaviness in the lower belly or a dull ache around the pelvic floor. What? It also increases the urge to urinate at night. Why? Because the prostate sits just below the bladder and wraps around the urethra. It directly affects your urine flow. I remember Richard, 72 years old, a retired long-haul truck driver, living alone. He told me, "I don't feel any pain, Doc. But around 2 or 3 I always wake up to pee, and it's getting more frequent." When we checked his prostate, it wasn't overly large, but it had signs of stiffness and fluid buildup inside. He hadn't ejaculated for months, thinking at my age, that part of life is meaningless. But I explained without regular release. Fluid stays trapped inside the prostate, building pressure that irritates the bladder and pelvic nerves. After we made a few changes, gentle ways to release that tension, more water, less caffeine, and simple breathing exercises focused on the lower abdomen. His nighttime urination reduced significantly in just 4 weeks. Prostate blockage doesn't cause sharp pain right away. It's more like a small leak, quietly building up over time. If left unchecked, it can lead to chronic prostatitis, burning urination, or even backward urinary infections. And here's the hidden danger many men hold in their urine or suppress their sexual urges, not realizing they're creating pressure on their own urinary system. Caring for the prostate doesn't always mean treatment. Sometimes it simply means not ignoring it for too long. A little balance, a little release, a little attention to that tightness in your lower belly may help you avoid serious problems later. If you've had multiple nights of waking up to pee without knowing why, type "I used to think it was normal" in the comments below, because your honest share might help another man seek help just in time. But what if you're already releasing regularly and still feel bloated or sore afterward? You might be mistaking a normal reaction for something far more serious. Stay with me, because in the next part, I'll help you clearly tell the difference between a normal post-release feeling and a red flag that says you need to see a doctor soon. Have you ever felt a heaviness in your lower belly? A dull, aching sensation after you ejaculate, and instantly wondered, is this inflammation or worse, cancer? If that fear crossed your mind, pause for a moment, because what you're feeling might actually be a perfectly normal reaction, one many men misinterpret. Every time you have sex or masturbate, your body goes through a series of natural responses. Your heart rate rises, your blood pressure climbs slightly, blood flows into the pelvic area, and your prostate joins in, swelling just a bit to contract and release fluid. After ejaculation, the prostate can remain mildly swollen for a few hours. This is even more noticeable in men with BPH, or those who are not sexually active often. That feeling of pressure, tightness in the pelvic floor, or heaviness in the lower belly is simply part of the body's short-term recovery. If it fades within 12 to 24 hours, there's no danger. It's not a sign of illness. George, 70 years old, a quiet, slender man, came to me thinking he might have cancer. Every time after I masturbate, I feel bloated, tight. I can't sleep well. My wife passed long ago, so I don't really know what's normal anymore. He looked anxious during the visit, but the tests, ultrasound, PSA, came back normal. His prostate was just slightly enlarged from age. No inflammation, no cancer. I asked him, how long does the discomfort last? He replied, maybe half a day, then it eases. I smiled and said, well, maybe your prostate is just doing its job. And now it's taking a break after a long shift. But if the pain becomes sharp, if pressure or discomfort lasts longer than 24-48 hours, or comes with burning, difficulty urinating, or blood in your urine or semen, that's not a normal reaction anymore. Those could be signs of something more serious: prostatitis, bladder inflammation, or even early-stage prostate cancer. Sometimes discomfort isn't illness, it's simply your body speaking. After a full cycle of activity, but the key is this: you must learn to tell the difference between what's normal and what's not to panic, but to listen and take charge of your health. If you've ever mistaken that post-release pressure for a sign of disease, but later breathed a sigh of relief when it turned out to be temporary, Type 1 was worried too in the comments, because sometimes your small story can ease the minds of hundreds of other men facing the same quiet fears. But what if, after every release, you not only feel tight, but also need to pee often, and the stream gets weaker over time? Then it's no longer just a normal response. It might be the first warning of a silent urinary condition that's easy to miss. Let's keep going, because up next, you'll discover the hidden link between ejaculation and your bladder function after 60. Have you ever noticed that? Right after ejaculating, you suddenly feel the urge to pee, but the stream is weak, slow, or stops and starts. Most people think it's just the kidneys or just old age, but in truth, it often comes from temporary changes inside your prostate and urinary system, right after you release. Here's what happens during ejaculation. Your prostate and bladder sphincter work together to prevent semen from flowing backward into the bladder. Afterward, both need time to relax, to return to their normal state. During this recovery window, you might experience an urgent need to urinate, a weak stream that needs straining, incomplete urination or trickling for a few hours after. In younger men, the body resets quickly, but after 60, everything slows down. The reflexes of the bladder muscles, the tone of the prostate, and the coordination between systems. So even small changes become more noticeable and more uncomfortable. I remember Robert, 70 years old. He came in with a question that seemed simple. Doctor, after I masturbate, I pee so weakly, sometimes just a few drops, but I still feel like my bladder is full. What's wrong with me? We ran tests, no infection, no stones, but his prostate was mildly enlarged, and its contractions were slower than usual after ejaculation. I asked, "When do you usually do it?" He said, "At night. After a beer. It helps me sleep." I suggested he try something new. Avoid the beer, change the timing, add gentle pelvic exercises, and sip warm water instead. 3 weeks later, he came back smiling. "I still need to pee afterward, but now it flows more smoothly. No more leaks, no more worry." If you often experience frequent need to pee after ejaculation, weak stream lasting more than 24 hours, burning or dribbling, urination, then you might be facing early signs of prostate dysfunction or a urethral sphincter spasm. That's not just a normal post-release reaction anymore. That's when it's time to see a urologist, as early as possible. Think of your body after 60, like a machine that's run for many years. Every system, from reproduction to urination, needs time to recover gently and at the right pace. Ejaculation is normal. Urinating afterward is normal. But listening to your body, that's how you avoid silent complications and live stronger day by day. If you've ever felt confused, unsure whether your weak urination after release meant something serious, type the word unsure in the comments, because your honesty might let someone else know they're not alone. And what might surprise you is this. Aside from all the familiar physical effects, ejaculation, done at the right time, in the right state, can also benefit your heart and circulation, a quiet benefit, one that most people never hear about, but science has quietly confirmed, so stay with me. Because what's next might just help you rediscover the rhythm of your own life. What if I told you that masturbation, when done correctly and at the right time, can work like a light cardio exercise? Would you believe me, most people think ejaculation is just about sex or release, but in reality, your heart and circulation are affected in ways both good and bad. During orgasm, your body activates the autonomic nervous system, heart rate rises, blood pressure fluctuates, blood vessels expand, thanks to nitric oxide, a natural compound that helps blood flow more freely. This is a normal physiological reaction, very similar to walking briskly for 10 to 15 minutes. For older adults, if done in a relaxed state, this can be a gentle form of movement. It improves circulation, reduces vascular tension, supports stable blood pressure, and even helps you fall asleep more easily. Alan, a former PE teacher, still practiced yoga and ate clean, but he came to me with an odd concern. After I masturbate, I feel a bit dizzy. Not bad, but enough to make me sit down and take a few deep breaths. When we checked his vitals, his blood pressure was on the low side, especially after sexual activity. I advised him not to do it on an empty stomach, avoid it after taking vasodilator meds, and to sip warm water beforehand, then rest afterward. And the result, the dizziness, almost disappeared. He later told me, now it feels light, calming, almost like meditation. But not everyone reacts this way. For those with heart disease, high blood pressure or irregular heartbeat, recent stroke recovery, or long-term diabetes, the circulatory changes after ejaculation can sometimes cause a sudden drop in blood pressure or trigger irregular heartbeats. So, if you feel dizzy, fatigued, your heart races, or you lose strength after releasing, take it as a sign, talk to your doctor, and check your cardiovascular health. At this stage in life, you don't need intense workouts. What you need is rhythm, a steady routine, and small, simple habits done right can become medicine for your body. Yes, even masturbation, but only if it's done with care, at the right time, in the right state of mind. If you've ever felt lighter, more relaxed, or able to sleep better after releasing, or the opposite, slightly dizzy, type "I feel it too" in the comments, because everybody is different, and your honest share might help someone else tune into their own uppity. But now let me ask you this. What if you're not doing it for relaxation? What if it's become a reflex? A way to escape loneliness, boredom, or stress. When that happens, the issue is no longer physical. It becomes emotional. Let's keep going, because next, we'll talk about something deeper. A quiet reminder of self-worth and emotional balance for every man over 60. In over 30 years of working with older men, I've learned one thing. Not everyone masturbates out of desire. Some do it because they're lonely. Some because they're stressed. Some because they have no one to talk to. And what begins as a normal physical act can quietly become a mask, hiding pain that's too hard to speak aloud. Medically, masturbation isn't bad. It releases hormones, offers light pleasure, triggers endorphins that relax you, and helps you sleep. But if you find yourself doing it 3, 4 times a day, without any real feeling, not for comfort, but to escape, then the issue may no longer be physical. It might be emotional. Sexual behavior dysregulation in older adults is real, and it's becoming more common, especially after major losses, retirement, grief, years of isolation. I remember Tom, 67 years old. He lost his wife 4 years prior, lived alone in a small town, no job, no close friends. Every day felt the same, and masturbation became a reflex. Sometimes I didn't even want to. I just felt empty. After 6 months, he couldn't sleep, lost weight, and felt numb inside. When he came to see me, he didn't know how to begin. He simply said, "Doctor, I don't feel anything after it anymore." We talked. He started attending a widower's support group, tried gentle exercise, kept a journal, and slowly he let go of the old habit, not because he forced himself, but because he found connection again. Months later, he smiled and said, "I still masturbate sometimes. But now, it's because I want to, not because I'm lonely." When masturbation loses its feeling and becomes a repeated act to fill an emotional void, that's when it's time to pause, not to stop, but to ask yourself, what am I really looking for? Relief, or a place to feel that I still exist? And if you feel like you've lost control, or feel shame, fatigue, or emptiness afterward, please don't suffer in silence. Talk to someone who will truly listen, a doctor, a counselor, or a real friend. After 60, you don't have anything to prove. What you do need is to listen to yourself a little more gently. Masturbation is part of the body, but emotion, memory, and loneliness, those are the deeper parts of a man who's lived a full life. And I believe once you accept those parts with kindness, they'll no longer control you. If you've ever used masturbation to forget sadness or silence pain, type "I understand" in the comments, because maybe, just maybe, that one word will remind someone out there. They are not alone. And there's one thing many men only realize. When it's already too late, they never got their prostate checked until their body could no longer bear it. But you're different, because if you've listened this far, I believe you're ready to hear the final sign, perhaps the most important one your body has been trying to tell you. Every man believes he's still doing fine, until one day, he realizes the prostate doesn't ring a loud bell. It whispers. Through restless nights, weakened urine flow, and a kind of tiredness you can't quite name. The question isn't, should I get checked? It's, how long will you wait? As a men's health doctor, I've seen too many men come in too late. They say I thought it was just aging. I didn't want my wife or kids to know. I didn't want to bother anyone. But prostate cancer doesn't wait for your convenience. It grows in silence. No pain, no fever, no bleeding until it's already advanced. So, when should you get checked? Here are 3 warning signs that mean you should see a doctor right away. 1, urinating more than twice at night. Weak flow, dribbling, or feeling incomplete, lasting over 2 weeks. 2, lower back pain, pelvic pressure, or discomfort after ejaculation. 3, low energy, slight weight loss, or new erectile issues. And if you're over 60, even without symptoms, get a PSA blood test once a year. It could save your life. Carl, 75 years old, tall, quiet. He walked daily, ate well, no alcohol, no smoking. He came in because, as he said, my stream is just a little slower than usual. PSA 9.2, a biopsy confirmed stage 2 prostate cancer. But because it was caught early, he was treated without surgery. No loss of sexual function, no long-term damage. 6 months later, he came back, smiling. I wish my friend who died from prostate cancer last year had gone in when I did. Don't wait for pain. Don't wait for sleepless nights. Don't let it become, I wish I'd gone in sooner. Because some things you can't get back, even if you always thought you were healthy. If you're still watching this, I know. You're a man who's beginning to truly listen to his body. And I want to say this. I respect you. It's not easy to sit through a topic like this, but you did. And because of that, you might be the first in your family to take charge of men's health. And that deserves to be recognized. Thank you for staying with me until now. If this message has made you think, or if something in you has shifted, type ready in the comments so I know you're not just listening, you're ready to act. And if you've been hesitating to click subscribe because you thought, I probably don't need it, maybe this is your moment to change that. Subscribe, not for me, but because you deserve to care for your body like the strong, thoughtful man you are. This journey doesn't stop here. There's still so much more about men's health after 60 that you deserve to know before it's too late. See you in the next videos, where we don't just talk about disease, we talk about hope, wisdom, and the quiet strength of a man who's lived and is still growing.